Hi, my name is Patel. I'm an attorney at Patel, Soltis, and Cardenas, attorneys at law in the state of New Jersey, and I practice foreclosure law. I'm answering a question today in foreclosure that asks, I am a tenant of a property in foreclosure. What do I have to do and what are my rights? Well, the good news is, as a tenant in foreclosure, you have more rights than the owner who lost the house does. You are protected by the New Jersey anti-eviction statutes. And if you have a lease agreement, and writing is always obviously the best, the new owner coming in has to respect that lease. And there's only a certain amount of enumerated grounds upon which an eviction can be filed in the state of New Jersey. So if you're paying your rent on time, and you have a lease agreement that says you have 6 months left in the lease, the new owner has to honor that lease. They can't just remove you. In addition to that, after the lease is expired in those 6 months, if you continue to pay your rent, you are still protected by the anti-eviction statute. A landlord can't just remove you because they want to remove you. They need to have grounds to remove you. If it's a single-family home and they want to occupy, that's a valid ground. If it's a rent increase and you didn't pay the rent increase, that's a valid ground. If you've missed your rent payments, obviously that's a valid ground. So the landlord-tenant law isn't affected by the foreclosure action. You are still a tenant. You still have rights. There are ways to preserve those rights to make sure that you continue doing what you're doing under the lease and acting the way that the lease requires you to act as a tenant. So that's important for tenants to know. And a lot of times these court notices require tenants to receive notices. And there's also some provisions in the law that state that if tenants do not receive these notices, there are penalties against the new owner. So that's my answer to the question for tenants. There's also something else that's interesting, is that I'll have a lot of clients sometimes that say, look, my aunt lives in apartment number 2 and I want to give her a 5-year lease. And she's going to be protected for 5 years in the property. Voila, I figured it out. But you know what? You didn't figure it out, because what's going to end up happening is the purchaser is going to bring your aunt to court and say, this is a sham lease. This is a 5-year lease. No one signs 5-year leases. Right? This is the aunt of the person who was foreclosed. So, keep that in mind, that these leases sometimes will be reviewed and be put in front of a judge if you're trying to circumvent the law and trying to keep possession even though you're not entitled to possession. So if you enjoyed the content of this video, please hit like and subscribe. Thanks.